Pizza Tower is a phenomenal game that you should give a try. The art style is amazing, the gameplay is so fast-paced, and well, you already know this, don't you? So I won't waste your time with that. Instead, I want to talk about the only thing in this game I absolutely hate, that being the second world's boss fight, the Vigilante. To start this video off, I think I'll talk about what I like about the boss fights first. First of all, I just have to say, the music for this fight goes unreasonably hard. I mean, seriously, just have a listen to this part. Also, the concept for the fight is pretty cool too. During the game, you're constantly fighting these weird cheese glob enemies, and just as quickly as you see them, they're taken care of by your Mach Run dash. It's interesting to see a cheese glob actually put up quite a bit of a fight, and actually have a chance at winning too. I also like the background details, that it's like some sort of stage play. If you look in the corners of the stage, there's wallpaper peeling off, and some of the clouds are being held up by a rope. It sells the idea of this being a sort of stage play being held in the tower. And, that's all I have. Okay, I guess now we talk about why this fight sucks. The first and, in my opinion, worst part about this fight is the gun mechanic. When you start a fight against the Vigilante, he will hand you a pistol and the fight won't start until you grab that pistol. So, what's the big deal? I mean, video game guns are always fun to mess around with. Heck, even near the game when you get the shotgun power-up in certain levels, it's awesome. It's used perfectly in all three of the stages it's used in. So what's wrong with the pistol? Well, unlike the shotgun, this pistol isn't a blast of power, it just fires a single bullet. They both do have one thing in common though, you fire by pressing the grab button once. The thing is that a single fire bullet does not deal even close to the amount of damage a shotgun would do. So to make up for that damage, you have to repeatedly press the fire button, which will eventually make your finger go numb and make your joints go tired. That alone will make this fight suck pretty hard, but there's just even more wrong with this mechanic as well. The developers actually did think of the fact that the shotgun deals more damage than the pistol. So, to compensate for that, they decided to add a charge shot. Now that makes sense, right? Now tell me, how do most charge shots in games work? I assume you say you hold the charge button and when you're ready to fire, you release the charge button. And you'd be correct. This is done so that you have more control when your charge shot actually hits. That way it makes the charge shot more useful and more necessary in some cases. That sounds completely simple, right? Right? Well, Pizza Tower decides to do something completely different. See, in most games where you just let go of the charge button when you're ready to fire, the charge shot is instant. That means the moment the charge shot is ready to be shot, it shoots. Now, that doesn't sound too bad, right? Wrong. We'll be talking about it later, but just know for now that the Vigilante fight is constantly moving. He's always jumping around, using different attacks, so no matter what, he's going to be moving somewhere else. And the fact that the charge shot can't be just shot when you feel like it's ready to go, that just kills all the usefulness it would have. You think that's it though, do you? Well, no, there's one more thing wrong with this. You can't shoot upwards or diagonally upwards. So now you're probably saying, Jake, it's only used in like 2 boss fights, why would you ever need that? The fact that I'm bringing this up, you can tell that there's something wrong with this, right? Like I've previously stated, the Vigilante is a fast-paced fight, with everything he has flying at you. To be fair, however, the first 4 hits of the fight are fine. They're pretty much just your standard boss fight. However, when the 5th phase starts, everything goes wrong. The moment that this part starts, you're faced with 2 new obstacles, the Grandpa Ghost and the rocket launcher. Now at first, the Grandpa Ghost might be simple. If he will continuously follow you, and he won't stop following you until he hits you, you hit him, or he's caught in the crossfire of one of Vigilante's attacks. However, there are 2 problems with this. Problem 1. Remember when I said you can't shoot upwards? Well, this is one of the reasons why that sucks. You see, not being able to shoot upwards makes hitting this grandpa ghost even more of a chore than it should be. Unlike where you would just shoot straight forward to hit the vigilante, you have to somehow find a way to shoot him upwards in the air. And when you're dealing with another threat at the time, it's not easy. In fact, that segues perfectly into the reason too why the grandpa ghost is a terrible addition to the fight. And that reason is the fact that it just adds another annoyance to the fight, which means now you have to not only take care of the fact that the vigilante is using an attack, but now you also have to worry about the grandpa ghost just randomly spawning in and screwing over your next fight. But believe it or not, it gets even crazier and in some ways even worse with that. I also mentioned a rocket launcher attack. Yeah, that's right. The vigilante just pulls up a straight up rocket launcher. So, what does it do? Simple. It shoots down to the ground, and when it hits the ground, it'll release a giant shockwave that'll hit the entire floor of the fight. Now, I don't actually have a problem with this attack. It makes sense for the fight. What I do have a problem with is where it was introduced. It's one thing to have to deal with the grandpa ghost, but having something that'll clear the floor, meaning that the only way you're going to stay up in the air is by parrying, is just evil. Straight up just completely evil of the developers to do. Now, let me ask you this. Would you believe me if I told you that this got even worse? I'm not even joking around anymore. It gets even worse than that. When you hit Vigilante to his last hit point and on phase 1, he will use a new attack, a bouncing cow. Now what's so bad about this bouncing cow, you might be asking? It doesn't really seem that bad. But trust me, if you pair the cow with the rocket launcher and the grandpa ghost, it's just a trifecta of absolute torture. And yet, somehow, in some bizarre way, it got even worse. You're probably saying, come on, there's no way it could get worse than that. Oh, but the developers have one more trick up their sleeve to make this a nightmare of a fight to deal with. That's right. The stage becomes darkened, meaning that everything is now coated in shadows, and now you can barely see what attacks he's going to be using. I mean, seriously, that's just evil. That's just terrible. That's just not fun. You know what? I think that's exactly how I would describe this fight. It's just not fun. I think that's how I would describe this fight. It's just not fun. Sure, some of the ideas it does show work on paper, and I do like the theme and also some of the ideas it provides, but execution-wise, it's just very, very bad. From a grandpa ghost that does not need to be as difficult as it is, to the fact that the weapon you're given barely functions as a good addition to the fight, makes this fight just kind of bad. Now imagine doing all of this and then trying to P-rank it. You know, take no damage. Yeah, no thanks. I'd rather have Hawaiian pizza, or worse, Kiwi pizza.